Happy Bringling! Welcoming again all the listeners of Pulse of Wisdom as part of Bringle Blended Meetups platform with the topic Customer Engagement Experience, which are getting live on our YouTube channel Bringle Talks every day between 5 to 6 p.m. Indian Standard Time and 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Singapore time. Bringle is established in India and UK and now partnered in other countries like Singapore, Kuwait, Australia, South Africa, Germany, Europe and many more for their 21 days business sustainability challenge and having 100,000 plus monthly organic visitors. Joy Abdullah from Malaysia spoke about that marketing starts inside out. Business strategy and marketing strategy becomes the market differentiator. Do respect and help each other is the DNA of customer engagement. Venkat from India shared about the right fit for a rural marketing campaign and mentioned, don't treat rural customer as commercial personality, but connect emotionally first. Imbibe the local culture and build the affiliation within the market. Edward from Australia focused on the continual strong presence by using social media and developing complete personal touch with one-on-one connect. Anshav Jain, founder of Bringle, is also delighted to announce that our cross-border investor community has come forward and offered their participation for investing in global startups. There would be an entire week dedicated to live pitching, wherein selected startups and businesses would be getting an opportunity to pitch it live in front of all the angel investors, angel firms and venture capitalists. So please use this opportunity and upload your business presentations at bringleacademy.com/course/business sustainability, and we would work with those 10 invested businesses to help them become a unicorn and achieve their $1 billion dream. Do come back tomorrow to know more about the next topic, customer feedback and win back. Till then, keep bringling, keep growing.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy Bringling. Entire Bringle team, along with Women Lines, Solveworks and Purnam Foundation, would like to welcome all the participants here on Bringle Blended Meetups platform and all those people who are watching it live on our YouTube channel, Bringle Talks. Bringle team has designed a unique business certification and mentoring program along with execution support called Design Your Unicorn, and would be culminating it into a TV show, ebook, digital book and a paperback version along with 100 plus global experts. I would just like to do a little recap on the Pulse of Wisdom from the yesterday's live session, where Nitin Berry spoke about the entire customer life cycle from policy making to reaching out to the right media channels and to ensure continuous footfall and then creating value and high customer retention. Mandar mentioned that the customer journey is all about expectation setting and real-time experience is delivered. A perfect business strategy would be a mix of three things: thinking, feeling, and expecting. And the most critical thing is to build an ecosystem to deliver it. Sven, founder and CEO of Mainstage Incubator from Germany, enlightened us to know that calling Frau for ladies and Herr for gentlemen in their surnames, with their surnames, is the way we greet people in Germany. The emphasis was also on creating a customer experience which is very unique and part of business strategy. Today's topic of our cross-border hashtag 21 days business sustainability challenge is customer engagement experience. I would like to request again all businesses, startups and entrepreneurs from all across the globe to upload their business presentations at www.bringleacademy.com/course/business sustainability, and we would select 10 businesses with whom we will work to help them become a unicorn and provide cross-border markets with scalable and sustainable model. With this, I would like to request Charu to take up this time and introduce our speakers.
Thank you so much, Asha. Very good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to all global community there. It's such a pleasure to welcome you, everybody. Myself, Charu Mehrotra, founder of online magazine womenlines.com, which is listed in top 40 women's online magazine to follow in 2020. Customers are assets to be cared for and nurtured. said by Jean Bliss, who is author of Chief Customer Officer. So friends, today's topic is customer engagement. Customer engagement is a business communication connection between an external stakeholder, who is consumer, and an organization through various channels of correspondence. Showing customers the love and respect they deserve has never been more critical. In today's age of mobile, cloud, and social technologies, customers have more choices than ever. They have louder voices, and they have more opportunities to amplify their messages. So let's understand from our speakers how we can engage our customers in best way in present times. I will take the opportunity to welcome the speakers. We have Joy Abdullah from Kuala Lumpur. He is strategic marketing specialist, a collaborator, and people connector with an empathetic leadership personality. He guides teams by marketing inside out to discover their unique brand differentiation, which impacts brand perception. In business, he approaches employee engagement, experience, advocacy, brand management, leadership, culture, and customer experiences. We have Venkatesh Srinivasan, Director, RW Services. Mr. Srinivasan is a veteran of the industry with over 20 years experience in Indian rural marketing. He's the marketing director. He is known as a pioneer in the industry, being the originator of the video on Wheels concept. RW Promotions is the leader in the BTL and event space in India. It presents an unparalleled combination of expertise, in-house infrastructure, a dedicated on-ground team, and innovative ideas. In the last 1 decade, the agency has implemented more than 10,000 campaigns across India's length and breadth in the urban, semi-urban, and rural space. And then we have Edward Zia from Australia. He is marketing mentor and master coach. He loves creating master persuaders and influencers. Edward is a marketing mentor, certified practicing marketer, CPM, and master coach, and has mentored thousands of winners globally to help them get more clients, win top positions, and become leading personal brands. As master grade coach, Edward had exceeded in the threshold of 10,000 plus personal coaching hours, making him a leader in the field. He has helped individuals generate millions and millions of dollars and loves it so much. Welcome, Edward, welcome, Joy, and welcome, Venkatesh, to the show. My first question goes to Joy Abdullah. What is the one thing that you do uniquely with your customers when you say you help them create brand differentiator and impact the perception? It's an experience that you create for them. Please share your opinion.
Thank you, Charu. Thank you. That's a brilliant question. Actually, you're taking part of my sales pitch out, so to speak. But let me try and sum this up nicely. So, what's unique in what I do? I'm just trying to put it in simple words, is the process that I follow. So my process, whenever you speak marketing, all of us are experts out here. When we speak marketing, we always have this perception, marketing has everything to do with outside. And Ansha read it out earlier. So you have the customer footfall, customer. What I bring after 31 years of corporate career across 9 industries is a self-learning and a self-process where I've made it that marketing starts inside out. So that's my first bit of my uniqueness. And what that creates actually is a strategy. The business strategy and the marketing strategy becomes the differentiator in how your brand behaves, acts, speaks, and creates the experience. And I'll stop it there because I want to take 2 more minutes explaining it. When we speak of experience, we have a tendency to go into silos. You have employee experience, you have customer experience, then you have user experience and everything. But actually, if you look at it as a brand, and all of us own companies, all of us have personal brands. If you look at it, at the end of the day, what a company does with its employees is spoken about. And there's a famous quote that comes to my mind, which is, it's not what you say you are, it's what they say you are when you're out of the room, and it's out of leadership. So employees, what they talk about their company / their brands, and all employees, whichever form that we are in, whether it's a startup or it's a multinational, every employee talks. So this is what I do. I go into organizations now, I run it like a project, basically. I work for 4 to 6 months at a time. And I start with something very classic and very simple. Again, if people are expecting fancy processes and stuff from me, I'm sorry. I believe simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So here's how my process works. I'm sure all of us have heard of the 5 W's and 1 H. What, why, who, where, when, and how. That's what I work with. So what does it stand for? Why? Why does your business exist? What's the benefit you're going to give to the community, to your people? Purpose. What really is the benefit? Yeah, you want to do $500 billion turnover. And what happens when you reach that turnover? So what's the benefit? Who is very important. This is where you define your target audience. And I take a step further by saying, define the employees you want, both in terms of skill sets and attitude. Where is your brand going to play? Online, offline, mix of both? Which is going to be more dependent? And when, which means, are you going to be available 24/7? Are you only going to play in the mornings? What kind of a brand presence are you going to be there? And that's very important when we get down into today's world of social media management. So the H comes in last, and the H basically is the tactics to deliver your strategy, business strategy, into your marketing, into your brand, and then your brand strategy needs actions or specific tactics to take it to the respective segments across respective communication channel. Why do I follow this 5W and 1H in building the differentiation? Is simply because of 3 reasons. It gives clarity of the business purpose and the business strategy to senior management and employees. One of the biggest gaps I've noticed over my career is C-suite and operating mid-level managers have a gap in understanding what the strategy means. For many of us, we'd probably be very familiar with this. In 20 years of my life, I've worked strategy top-down. In today's world, especially in the last 60 days, any company that's operating strategy top-down is dead fish in the water, and I'm willing to go out there and take this on. You have to work strategy, not just bottom-up or top-down. You got to work strategy all 4 ways: bottom-up, top-down, sideways, which means having clarity on what you want to do is very, very important, because it goes to the second point. You cannot tell, I'm the boss, do what I tell you. Those days are gone. You have to have what I call voluntary followership. Leadership is easy. A lot of coaching can be given, but there's a gap in the leadership industry. It's called followership. There are very few coaches, if I may use that word, actually grooming employees to be great followers. And without great followers, you won't have great leaders, because those who can follow intelligently become the next best leaders. And one of the best examples would be Armed Services Anywhere. I think Edward would vouch for me on that one, because you lead, you follow absolutely to the T, you become the next leader. And the last part of doing this process is data and collaborations. So you get clarity, you lead by creating voluntary followership, and you arrive at what data does the company have. And I've handled projects in the last couple of years where a company says, I have no data. 14 days later, going through their process and their systems, there's a, sorry for the French, S-load of data that has been presented to the top team saying, here's your sales cycle, your salesman and your trade telling X. Here's your buyers on your retail outlet saying Y. Here's your outsourced customer service saying this. And why I use this data, because it gives a critical information. It's called insight. If you don't know what exactly are the hopes and aspirations of your community, and I don't use customers, I use the word community. A brand for me plays with employees, customers, partners, business partners. So I look at the customer or the individual profile and try and drill it down to some common denominators that the brand can talk. And those denominators are the insights. What is their hopes and aspirations, which I drill down to what's value? What's of importance to you as an individual and importance to me as an individual? And then I bring in, under tactics, employees to talk about that as stories. I create collaborations between the human resource senior manager and the regional sales manager who talk together, doing exactly what we are doing. They sit together and talk about their brand on a small little video and it's posted out on the company website and taken out on social media. My process, I have to say, does not give you a baby in 4 months. As far as I know, biologically, the baby will take 9 months. I deliver results to clients 1 year. I have a performance management fee of 15% on my fees that I do not take until month 14. That's how the process works. Having delivered this, businesses, I've worked with startups and SMEs. What they've found is after 1 year, they have a platform, a sustainability platform from where they can scale their brand. 1 year later, now we've got clients who are on their own working with social media agencies, have taken on digital marketing agencies, running communication campaigns specifically. But the DNA, that's how it's done. That's what I do in terms of creating a differentiator, which will last at least a decade in terms of sustainability. Thank you, Charu.
Of the word community used for the customers, because it changes the mindset towards them. And yes, the way you have shared, you have broken it into small parts, and then the detailed part and then the engagement part comes. It's really wonderful insight. One question I also want to ask, one easy tip you can share for audiences, which you provide in your coaching and training to engage customers. Just one tip.
All right. First thing, I must correct a perception. I do not coach. I'm a hardcore consultant. I don't use that word.
Okay.
I work as an advisor. The reason I say I don't use the word consultant, because consultant is a dirty word in the market today. All right. But yeah, the tip that I always share is I ask my clients at whichever level, how open are you? And the tip is, if you are not open to receiving inputs from everywhere as a learning, I'm learning even now. Today, as we speak, I learn from my network, from my brother Yusuf over there, that we work together. You have to be open in order to take a perspective. So what happens is, if you're open to take a perspective, and any human being, and everybody has intelligence, will actually think. My job, as I see it as an individual, is to make you think what will work for your business, not this Tuesday, but 5 Tuesdays down the line, 52 Tuesdays down the line. Please look at the big picture, is what I tell them to do. So the tip I say is, I ask, how open are you? I get various types of answers. I bring in the open-minded perspective. I share the value of 360, and then I go into doing what I do.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that tip.
Thank
My
you,
next question goes to Venkatesh. You have been running campaigns across a rural area, and those customers are different than the regular urban customers. How you manage them and how you differentiate their experience with urban customers. Please share your opinion.
Okay, good evening to all of you. Basically, we've been into this rural domain for a long time, and we've been doing a lot of campaigns across categories. The first thing I would like to start off is by saying the ikigai for India is rural actually. India being there is because rural exists there. Otherwise, I mean, there's no market, there's no this thing. 70% of India is rural. We've got almost about 6.5 lakh villages. Okay, so that's a huge number. And almost about 6 lakh villages are inhabited. And also it's cut across categories, okay, cut across segments, cut across states. And as you all know, saying that we've been divided into north, south, west, and east. And every state is a different state. Every state has a different way of looking at things. Every region has a different way of looking at things. North basically is a very aggressive sector. West basically is more chilled out because money is good there. South is very rational, diligent. They get into more information. They need more information before they buy a product. And East is something where it is very women dominated. Men are socialist, idealistic, but still at the end of the day, they do require an assertion saying that the product is good. So obviously there is a lot of, work which needs to be done before we get onto these. What can work in one segment, in one sector, can't work in the other sector. So that is how it works. So we need to really do the pros and cons before we get into identifying as to what we can do and how we will go about doing the entire marketing bit for any consumer product, or let it be a bank, let it be a agriculture product, let it be a two-wheeler, anything. Everyone is emotional about certain things. People are very aspirational. They need to do something what the urban guy is doing. They need to do something they look at an urban guy in terms of saying that, okay, this is how it can be done. A small example is basically even a brand like a Tata Sky has come out with a 5 rupee recharge for the rural markets. A brand like Dove has come out with a 5 rupee and a 10 rupee sachet for the rural markets. When we started doing rural, there used to be some, you go to a panwala shop and you go to a thela and you see only about 2-3 boxes there, which used to have halls, which used to have 1 or 2 toffees, and which used to have something else. Today, when you go, you see some 40 boxes there or 50 boxes there. It seems on an average, there are some 340, 350 brands which are there, which are vying for a space in that panwala shop. So that is the kind of, brands which have come up. That is the kind of work which has happened in the rural markets. But to answer your question in terms of saying that, how do we go about it? Everything has to be touched and seen, and everything has to be given a logical reasoning as to why that guy has to buy. Please don't believe saying that the rural guy has no brain. He has 10 times more brains than us. He's much more intelligent than us. He doesn't waste his money. He's very particular about every money he makes. And he's very particular about saying that what is the brand all about. The first question nowadays he asks is, iska service center hai kya? When he goes to buy a mobile, or even when he goes to buy a refrigerator or a television, he says, iska service center. If you have a service center, then I'm ready to buy this product. So that is the knowledge level which he has come out with now. So there is no question in terms of saying that the rural guy doesn't know anything and you can go and fool him with anything and everything and whatever is given to him. Incidentally, the entire television ratings in the country, if it's 100%, 62% of the ratings are given to the rural markets. So you can just see saying that how much of importance is given to the rural markets in terms of the brands also which get onto the rural markets. So what we ideally say is, don't just go and give him a product and expect it to sell. It is not possible to sell. So it is where you will have to go and make him experience the product, make him touch and feel the product, make him use the product, and then he comes back and saying that now I can buy this product and start using the product. Like even for a pump sector, okay, when we go there, we just don't go and show him the pump and expect him to come to the shop and then start buying the pumps. So what we do is we go to the farmland, we go fit in the pump, get the water pumped out, show him saying that how it is spread out, how the pump works. Okay, he knows everything about horsepower, he knows everything about the power consumption, he knows everything about in terms of saying that how much of load it will take, everything he knows. It's not that he doesn't know anything, but he needs to see the pump. And then after that, he also needs to know saying that who are their competitors, how are they doing their experiment, demonstration, how is their brand, everything has to be told to him. So in the category of a pump, you go there and show him. Now the next is in terms of even the educated doctors who are there in the pharma, in the rural markets. What we've gone and done is we've developed mobile conference centers. So we carry these mobile conference centers down to the rural markets, get those doctors to come and attend the CME. CME is continuing medical education for doctors in India, which the pharma companies generally do it for them. So when we do these mobile units, we carry our own doctors, we carry everything, food is carried, soft drinks, everything is carried. We go down, educate them, in spite of the fact saying that we know they are educated, but there are so many gray areas in terms of the pharma industry which they don't know. And now with this Corona thing happening, it has become more of an important thing going down to the rural level to educate the doctors as to how to treat these Corona patients. So basically what we intend telling you is, it's not that the rural guy is a guy who doesn't know what is happening. Social media, okay, everyone talks about social media, social media, social media. What does social media do? Social media only communicates to you. It doesn't come and give you the product to make use of the product. I can see the product, I can see everything. Even when Jio was launched, there was a lot of bandwidth which was given to the rural guy. They all started seeing it and things like that. But finally, we had to take the product down, show him the product and saying that this is the product. He's seen it on the social media. But that doesn't make the product sell. The product has to be sold. He has to buy the product. The money has to come in. So the social media is all good in terms of, there is a Facebook, there is everything where people make use of social media to go and communicate, which is all good. But finally, if I'm a manufacturer, I'm an FMCG, I'm a two-wheeler, I'm a lubricant, I'm whatever, I have a product, I need to take it down and saying that, okay, this is a product. You need to touch and feel the product. I've seen the product in an ad in the television, but I don't know saying that what is the product all about. In a 30-seconder, how much will you be able to communicate? That is a question which all the advertisers have been asking for years actually. In terms of a 30-seconder commercial, how much will you be able to do? That's what nowadays you have these WhatsApp communication where you have a 3-minuter and a 4-minuter where they keep sending it all across and saying that this is a product which is all about. So finally, what we are trying to sum it up is saying that an experiential, all the products have to go there, touch and feel. The guy has to make use of the product, and then he says saying that I will buy the product. Let it be anything for that matter. Okay, let it be a two-wheelers. I have to carry it down to him for him to do a test drive and touch and feel the product. Even if it's a mobile phone, I still carry the mobile phone down and then make him saying that, okay, now make a call and see saying that how clear it is. Or put a SIM card and show him saying that how fast the bandwidth is. So all these things are something which is on a regular process. So it's ideally we also follow the same STP, which is what do you call segmentation, what do you call the marketing jargons which we use, targeting and positioning. So there is no difference in that. But the difference is in terms of the segmentation techniques which you do. Basically specific markets, you attribute segmentation to those guys who want the product because he doesn't have money to go and spend the product. I mean, to go and blow money out of this thing. He also knows saying that what is his consumption pattern. In the cities nowadays, there is no consumption pattern. Basically, we've started buying whenever we have the money with us. There is no Diwali. In our childhood, we used to buy only during Diwali. We used to buy only during New Year, or if you have a birthday or if you have a marriage in the family. But nowadays, everything is bought everywhere. But in the rural markets, it's still the same. They still buy when you have a function. They still buy when you have a Diwali. They still have buy when they have a festival. So finally, the thing is, it's not that the guy has the money. In the 2008-9 recession, why India got out of recession is only because of the rural markets. Because what we produced, we consumed. So we were able to do that. And even in this present scenario, let me tell you, the moment our lockdown opens, we will be the first country in the world to break even. Because at the end of the day, the agriculture market is all open. I mean, the pesticides are going, the agriculture pumps are going, everything is being moved. Okay. And the farmer is working. Farmer doesn't have a lockdown at all. Otherwise, where do you get your vegetables from? The vegetables are coming. I mean, so obviously the farmer has everything going for him. And people all saying that uska loan maaf kar diya, sab kuch kar diya, theek hai na? I mean, but at the end of the day, he's feeding you till now. So for me, at the end of the day, I mean, probably I've been working in those markets for a long time, so I have that affiliation towards that market. But if you ask me seriously, the rural guy requires touch and feel of the product. We need to go and show him as to how to go about it. As I said, in terms of a Tata Sky, 5 rupee, I go and recharge, show him the recharge. A pump, I go and demonstrate. A two-wheeler, I take a two-wheeler. Mobile phone, I make him use the mobile phone to call his cousins. There was a brand called It's Cash. I don't know how much of you people know about It's Cash. It's Cash basically was a product which used to, where it was a transfer of money from one end to the other end using their resources. So there, what we did was, during Eid, we went to the mosque, put up a telescope for people to see the Chand. And then the entire branding was done there. So that was an emotional connect with the product actually. So even when we did a lubricant, what we did was we did eye cams for all the mechanics, because the mechanics are one guy whose eyes has to be very properly, I mean, maintained in terms of the job which he's doing. So we did eye cams. So they were given free spectacle frames free. Okay, so these are the various options which are available, and these are the various ways and means where we go and communicate, where we go and educate, where we go and give them the touch and feel of the product, and also keep using various other methods. The direct method of going and selling it to them doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore. Even for a what do you call a microfinancing guy, he can't just go and directly saying that I have a loan and you please take it up. Because a rural guy then will say, uska interest kitna hai? What is the interest? What is the EMI? How do I pay it back? How do I market it? So he asks so many questions. Earlier, it used to be where the microfinance guy just goes and saying that this is a loan and they used to take it up. It still happens, but it has reduced to a large extent actually. So overall, what my perception or this thing is, to every marketer, to everyone who's in the social media or to everyone who's in the urban domain, please don't think the rural guy is uneducated. He requires a lot of demonstration. Probably an urban guy doesn't require demonstration. An urban guy feels saying that why should I see a demo? I know the product. But whereas a rural guy goes in for, I mean, he needs his money's worth. He goes till the last pie which he spends and saying that how do I go about it? And takes everything in his stride in terms of knowing about the product, which is an experiment or which is an experiential thing for him. And he then goes and buys the product. So that is what is my overall this thing. The social media works, but it only works till it communicates. So my entire thing to my team is I always keep telling them, saying that our industry will never die. BTL and rural will never die in India. We will always have products to go and sell it to them, and they will always keep buying it from us. In that entire cycle, if you see, rural markets have never died. I mean, we've been an agrarian economy for years together, and we will always be an agrarian economy. So that's what is my entire take on this experiential marketing for the rural markets.
Because
That's
suddenly
something,
you realize that, yeah, sure. You want to say
that's
something?
something really very creative and very innovative, and specifically from an engagement perspective of a rural customer. Considering the Indian population, which is actually 70% rural, and if we can't connect to that customer and make them feel the right experience, I think we are losing out a big market. And I think Micromax also did the similar strategy where they started reaching out to the rural market first, and then they came to the urban areas.
My only, yes, Mr. Abdullah, yeah. His audio is muted, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. No, I just wanted to add, Venkat, beautiful thing. I just wanted to bring something highlight here. You see the common denominator that you're saying, that the rural guy needs to have the touch and feel, right? You have to take the product to him.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's a human being. The urban guy plays on a mental imagery, which is where you have this social media proliferation the way we know it. And the rural guy in your end at India actually wants to touch, feel, and see 5 senses, right?
Yep.
That's how we humans are. All our memories, which are actually experiences, comes from our 5 senses. So the bottom line I'm getting out of this is, you're absolutely right. India and China are 2 markets where the rural sector, whichever way we call it, the numbers are so large that it'll keep the economy going, given. But as customers, as individuals, the common denominator plays in that one word called experience. Now, as marketeers, it's up to us. We want to do a physical experience, iCamp for mechanics, or we want to do an emotional experience, a mental experience, VR for highly urban, sophisticated people. Because each one of us ticks differently depending on our background and culture. I really wanted to thank you for that. It's a great eye-opener to know how beautifully the Indian market manages these 2 different groups. And then you have the subgroups. Thank you for sharing that.
The only thing I just want to, before I end is, we have so many management institutes in India. We have so many colleges. We have so many marketing courses which are happening. Sad to say, none of them have anything in terms of a module in terms of rural markets, which is the biggest market in India.
Yeah.
They all do marketing.
Yes.
They all do everything. I mean, once you finish IIM, you come back. HUL sends you to the rural markets for the first 2 years to get trained. So finally, what? I mean, other than IRMA and other than 1 or 2 institutes which have some rural courses, none of these institutes in the country have rural courses, which is a sad thing actually. And when you know, saying that the biggest market in India is rural. And after that, when you go to a new brand manager who's sitting on the other side of this thing, and we will start explaining things to him, he says, "Arey, this is how it works." And he says, how can I then increase my market? How can I increase my market share and my bandwidth in those markets? So it's a very sorry state of affairs in the Indian education curriculum, which says saying that, boss, you don't have any space of rural, where that market is the biggest in India. And only 30%, I mean, hardly 25-30% is your urban domain.
Great share, Venkatesh. One question I want to ask you also. One tip can you share with the audience for the engagement purpose? Something.
For the engagement purpose?
Yep.
I mean, what you want me to specifically speak about one brand, or you're okay in terms of saying that?
I think here everybody's sitting from, from product to service to consulting and our viewers are also from a consulting background.
Okay.
Service.
Yeah,
entrepreneurs are sitting.
Yeah, one tip which I will say is, don't treat the rural guy as a commercial guy. He's a very emotional guy. Even if you want to do something for him, do an emotional thing. Like the lubricant example which I gave, we went and did eye camps for the mechanics and gave away spectacle frames. So when we did those camps, the mechanic used to get his mother, sister, father-in-law, mother-in-law, everyone used to come for that. And at the end of the day, the brand saw a spike of almost about 18 to 20% in the next 6 months. So it's not only a commercial thing which is in the rural domain, it is also a very emotional approach which one has to do when you create a campaign, or even when you're designing a marketing campaign using your product to get into the rural markets. Experiential is already there. So when you're doing that exercise, make him feel the product there, and also make him feel saying that he's a part of your family.
I think Venkat, we have been listening, various speakers since past, first week was thought leadership. Now we are talking about customer. What I have been hearing continuously, and I've been speaking to all the speakers also before they come here. And what I have been hearing, a lot of human touch has come in the business arena. Nobody's talking too much jargon. Nobody's talking about, only strategy works. Nobody's talking about only, money works. Everybody's trying to connect with each other, whether it's a connect from the different angle, but the connect is something everybody's talking. Even yesterday's speakers talk a lot about emotions and connect, I think, which is a beautiful thing which is coming up. It's echoing, everybody's echoing the same feeling in a different way. There I feel probably the world is coming together and becoming one from a different dimensions. Thanks a lot for bringing that different view altogether. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Actually, I think 2 points which we should very explicitly mention out here. When we talk about the customer, it is also about the internal as well as the external customers. And I think this is repeatedly being talking about that you have to create a really nice experience for the internal customers. I mean, be it your employees, partners, collaborators, vendors, unless you work really nicely and emotionally connect with them, they will not be able to connect with your external customers. So I think it's a combination of that and a different market segments, target segments like rural market, urban market, or maybe an international market. So all of those things has to be taken care into the perspective, but the common point will always remain emotional connect. Venkat, you have some points?
Yeah, I will add on to what Mr. Abdullah had said in terms of having people. Okay. I've been running an organization where my attrition rate probably has been the lowest. I have got people who've been working with me for the last 18 years, 15 years, 17 years. These guys keep going to the same markets. Now they know the panchayat guy well. Now they know the tractor guy very, very well. They know the doctors in those areas very well. So it's also very important for you to actually imbibe that entire culture into your organization, into your team also, saying that this is how it works. And also create that affiliation towards that market, saying that boss ke urban kuch nahi hai. And guys have now started enjoying in terms of, so we always tell the team also, the marketing or the sales team in our business development team, saying that in a month, you should travel at least 2 weeks. Whether you're doing any work, you don't do any work, but just go and see the markets. And don't go 100 kilometers close to any city, because that's not rural, that's urban actually. It's a rural and urban.
Yeah,
you need to go, you need to go at least about 300, 400 kilometers into a village and see, saying that how they eat, what they do, how they go about doing the daily things. Probably a south might be very clean, a north might not be very clean. You then adjust everything. I mean, you adjust and then you come out a much better person, and you have so much to speak to your client across the table when you can sit and give him ideas saying that what next to increase his market share. Because the metros have become very cluttered. The metros have become very saturated. Your numbers are very fixed in the metros. If I'm reading a Times of India, I read Times of India right from childhood. If I'm using a Lux, I'm using a Lux right from childhood. So I don't have a new avenue to even increase my numbers there. So that's where comes the scene saying that, okay, this market is so huge, let's all go down there. And I mean, our philosophy has been saying that taking the corporate world to the rural markets.
Good.
Good, very nice. Joy, you want to add something? You were raising your hand. Just a minute, yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to respond with a bit of data to Avnash's point. But before that, let me just say, Venkat, totally agreed. You started by saying that your attrition rate, people have been with you for 15, 18 years. You just explained why people have been with you for 15, 18 years, because you've made a connection somewhere between what they like doing, what the company wants them to do, and it's become, hey, I'm actually adding value to someone. So when I said, be people centric is where I carry the message. You just echoed it. You just showed that reality is your organization is actually spending the time with that rural, getting close to the panchayat is like, you can get anything done. If you know the guy out there and he helps you, the panchayat head says, this is it, this brand does it, the whole village buys it, end of story. So that's my 2 bits on that. But to Avinash's point, absolutely agreed that the internal customer, so-called employees and business partners are very, very, very required, and we must focus on it, which is why over the last 8 years, global employee engagement is at 72%. 72% of the global employed pool, if you take 7.5 billion human beings and the base of how many people are working, they're disengaged. And if you turn that data further down, you'll be surprised the percentage that leaves jobs, not because of the quality of job or because of the role. They leave job because of the, you don't leave the job, you leave the boss. So the point I try to make over here is that this has been around. It's not 1 year ago. It's not coronavirus 60 days. But unfortunately, businesses, when people in leadership roles or whichever, and I'm talking about cross industry, somehow when we go into business, we seem to forget that we are human beings. We feel, we forget that there are families. We can't leave our personality behind and wear another hat and walk in. It's just not done. And this is where the crux lies. And there's another group that calls me in. The word human resource, it adds pictures in our head. So my point is, if organizations really invest in doing their inside marketing first, spend that 9 months and take care of it, you'll have a baby so strong that baby, when they start walking and running, you don't have to worry about it for 20 years. Thank you.
Wonderful insights, I must say. Thank you so much. My next question goes to Edward. Your strength is personal coaching, where you have helped many entrepreneurs accomplish their goals. What is your advice to the entrepreneurs on ensuring there is a constant connect with the customer? Please share your opinion.
Well, hello, everyone. Yes, no, I just want to say I love all your contributions. You're totally in the zone. And in short, what's very important for any company to be connected with their customer is probably 2 things. I'm going to give this answer in 2 ways. Having a continual strong presence, for example, on social media, so people are always seeing them. So having a strong company presence, that's very important. The bit I want to focus on, however, is it's really important that brands also have that complete personal presence, which is exactly Joy, where you opened up on, which I totally love. And what I mean by personal presence is that companies are making some kind of personal effort to uniquely connect with their customers. I don't mean they're just sending out like a MailChimp email using their name in a form. I don't mean something superficial like that, but some kind of deep personal communication with their clients. It could be as simple as a phone call. It could be a personal card, or if it's in a smaller business, it can be very much the owner of the business actually ringing up their customers and checking in. So I think there's got to be this whole corporate, social media side of connecting with people, as well as those one-to-one connections, which are very important.
Wonderful. So one tip for the engagement, can you share some unique one tip for the engagement side we can do with the customers?
Absolutely. So one of the key tips for really engaging with your customers is exactly keeping everything simple. So I think it was Joy actually, when you said simplicity is the best form of complexity, or something compelling like that. But basically I couldn't agree with that sentiment more. It's like simple messages that customers can relate to. And I like, just so you know, I like the whole, no, I'm from Sydney. We've actually got, probably not as extreme as in India, but we've got the whole rural city thing going on in Australia as well. And there's a city view that, people in the country, they're all dumb and they don't know what they're doing, right? They're all just stupid, right? And then country people think us city people are all just stuck up and we're completely in, up our own butts, right? Anyway, the point I'm making, right, what's really funny is that I think it's really speaking in simple language and really respecting your customers by treating them as normal, intelligent people and just using direct common language.
Great. So all depends upon the communication, the way you communicate and simpler you make and you connect with your customers, that will bring the huge difference in your business.
Yeah. And on that as well, with a strong sense of gratitude as well. You know how a lot of companies, it's like customers scum, company awesome. We talk down to customers, not good. It's about really, I suppose, a company culture in which you love your customers and you talk to them directly.
Direct communication is the key. Yeah, we have
Yeah.
something from Venkatesh.
Yeah.
Please.
I have a question for Edward.
Okay.
Just wanted to know, saying that whether, as in India, we have different strategies to get to the rural and the urban markets. Does Australia also has started doing those things, or is it just the same where you just get down to the rural markets and say you might as well buy this because it's being consumed by the urban guys?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's probably more the latter. In all honesty, it's sort of like, I mean, compared to India, Australia's what? Got 25 million people, so nothing compared to India, right? So, for example, so when you talk Australia, quite often, it's usually pretty much what's pumped out in the city is just served to people in the country. That's generally what happens, unless it's in particular a rural, regional type of brand. So, for example, you know, the stuff that I buy in Sydney CBD would be pretty much identical to stuff I buy in a rural city, right? It wouldn't be hugely different, right? I think it's more rural brands that operate in a rural area that totally get that. But again, they're going back to the original point where Joy sort of opened the charge on that one, and great job, by the way, Joy, is really speaking directly to your customer. And what you were saying as well, respecting your customer is awesome. So I think a lot of companies, they don't really respect their customers. They kind of hate their customers. It's like, we respect our customers. They're just saying they don't really respect their customers. They really they really resent their customers. That's what I think a lot of companies are like. Bit of a cynical view, but I've got a lot of evidence to back that view.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
Edward, you use word persuader and influencer, and you have trademarked it. There must be something, you know, a depth study you must have done, that why because you have done one-to-one coaching, you know, more than thousands, and there must be a specific reason why you have coined this persuader and influencer. Can you just throw some light on that?
Yeah, sure. So long story short, persuasion and influence has been something that I've really hung my hat on, in the respect that it's really, I actually found it's really missing in the market. A lot of people talk about sales, marketing, communications, but no one actually talks about persuasion or influence. You don't hear about those topics very much. And one of my actual mentors, I want to give a shout. Does everyone know the Dilbert comic? You know, the Dilbert management comic? Yeah. Scott Adams, who's the creator of it. I'm very lucky to be friends with Scott Adams on LinkedIn. Great guy, by the way. And he's the guy that actually encouraged me to do it, because he always talks about, in his business books in Dilbert, he always talks about persuasion and influence. And he's the only guy doing it. So I decided to become the second guy on earth doing it. It's been great. And since in a way, I moved away from sales and marketing to focus on persuasion, influence has been transforming. And going back to the whole point that Charu, you so well asked, yeah, it's, if you're going to persuade people, you need to respect them, and you need to speak in simple, respectful language, and you need to have that personal connection with them.
Great. So it's all about the way you are reaching out to the customers and how much you can persuade them with simple language usage. That will make the real difference.
Yeah. And as Joy said as well, very close. I couldn't agree with you more, Joy, in that marketing starts with the inside out. It starts with your company culture. So if you, for example, and I come from a CS, so I can say, so let's say you're an urban company and you think the rural people can't read or write and they're all stupid, right? You have that culture.
Correct.
Your marketing's going to come across as very conceited to those people, right? Who here remembers Hillary Clinton? Everyone know Hillary Clinton?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Now, Hillary Clinton had that complete, she said it straight up. Hillary Clinton is a complete urban who just looked down on people in the country. The problem was 80% of Americans live in like rural environments. So she lost the election, right? So to me, it's that, it's a way that Joy put it. It's like, if you love your customers and you see them as equals, you're all set to have that direct persuasional experience.
Wonderful. So we can have question answer session, Rashmi?
Yeah.
We can continue. Yeah, I hand over to Rashmi now.
Yes. Now the session is open for audiences to, you can do the question answer. I think Anshav, you can just see the questions on your.
Yeah. So anybody can just send me their questions on the chat window. I will unmute respected people accordingly. They can ask their question. All the speakers are the co-host, so they can unmute and mute themselves on that. I just want to add, I think while the questions are coming in, There is a message on our YouTube channel, Bringle Talks, from Preeti Pathak. She wants to thank you, Venkatesh, for sharing deep insight on the rural market, their mindset and impact on the economy. She has also mentioned about the importance which you have brought in for the emotional marketing in the rural markets. So if you want to say something back to her, she's watching our YouTube channel, so you can talk to her on this screen right now.
I would just like to saying that I hope Indians per se get more affiliated to the rural markets, and whoever is a marketer there starts thinking, saying that that market is huge and the emotional connect can really increase the market share, and it can really make good progress in terms of the what do you call the product per se, the life cycle of the product, and it can give better numbers than what they are having today.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. I just requested everybody to ask their questions. Just wait for a moment. Till that time, I just want to have a quick highlight again and probably a little discussion again back between Joy, Edward and Venkat in terms of the, bringing the differentiation between rural marketing, urban marketing and international marketing, because I think we have got speakers from in their different areas. I'm sure every country would have their own rural and urban population. So how do you think what kind of an experience we should be creating and how it can be differentiated when it comes to these different type of markets, I would say?
Ansha, the first thing is that one size fit all, those days have gone. That's number one. Number two is that whether you're doing an urban campaign, you're doing a rural campaign, or you're doing a global campaign, if you follow rule number one, which is one size fit all doesn't appeal, then you got to start looking at who are you talking to? What's their values, aspirations, and hopes? What is important to your brand in terms of your brand value? Now, if your brand value does not have that core value that segment target audience has, then you got to create something else. So end of day, depending on who you're marketing to, what you're marketing, and what do you want that person to do? Do you just want one transaction? Don't waste your money. Don't even invest in it. Do you want to grow that customer from one SKU to buying 10 SKUs in a period of some time? What steps needs to be taken? So that's the strategy part that comes in. When I say differentiator, I don't mean, and you can find this content on my YouTube a lot, differentiator is no longer in the product features or in the service deliverables. Differentiator is in how you and I respect and want to help each other. That's the best English I can put it in. All right. It's coming from a perspective that I want to be of service to you. The world labels this as servant leadership, but it's actually taking that essence and communicating it in a manner where the hearts connect. The days of getting to the consumer's wallet through his brain are long gone.
Yeah.
My recap: don't customize. Make it personalized. Get an emotional connection, which means what really matters to the customer. See that your brand has it or not. If it doesn't, take steps. Third, build, frigging relationship. This is really missing. After 18 years in strategy and 14 years plus in marketing with it, this is what I'll tell you that I have learned. Every corporate organization looks at numbers, 90-day numbers, 21-day numbers. Nobody's frigging looking at Venkatesh's regional sales manager's relationship with his 42 clientele out 300 kilometers from Bombay. But the business value lies in that relationship for today and tomorrow. This is really, and I'm passionate about this. So my apologies if I come across as being aggressive. When you calculate the relationship value with your customer, and it's not the customer lifetime value, it's actually an emotive relationship value where the customer is going to go to 3 stores to get your brand when you are not available in his regular outlet. That is the day you know your brand is sitting in the customer's home having Malai Chai. That's the best way I can put it. That's how urban, regional, international campaigns should and does work.
Wonderful.
Just gonna say, Joy, I love your aggression.
Joy, you're sounding not aggressive, but authentic.
Correct. That's the
Right
word.
in the point, you're stirring
No.
the hearts. Okay.
I apologize because I have had not once, not twice, not thrice. I've had 6 to 8 occasions coming across to clients as literally being in their face. So I am myself learning how to tone my passion down, because I honestly believe it's just that my methodology and deliverable takes 1 year for a client to see. The clients that I've seen swear, they believe. But it's in the initial, people react to people the way they see people. And I'm saying it on
Yes.
live because authenticity does not lie in saying the right things. Authenticity lies here. If you're able to communicate that, bingo.
Agree.
And thank you, Edward,
Agree.
for the vote of confidence and appreciation.
And just on that one, if I could just add to your not only beautiful aggression, I think it's all comes down to respecting your customer. It's all about respect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the key word. Respect for the fellow human. As Venkat said, the rural guy is not dumb. Like you said, you stay in Sydney and somebody's out in the backyard is not dumb. If we can get over that bit, if companies, I'm not going to use as corporate or entrepreneurs, get over that perception that this guy is intelligent. The next thing comes in, Edward is in your area. If he's intelligent, how can I get to influence him or her? And then comes, what do I do to persuade? So you come down to the what and how very, very smoothly, because you're looking for mutual respect. Respect is not earned, by the way. Respect is given.
Yes.
And do you want to know who the greatest rural marketer on earth is? The greatest rural marketer on earth is?
Shoot.
Donald Trump is the greatest rural marketer on earth. Donald Trump.
I'll just
Now, Edward, you're asking a controversial question out here.
I just have one.
I have a few observations in the rural market. This goes back more than 30 years, Venkat. I was a member of the NSS in college, and we had to get a building, a school building up in the village that I worked with. I had to sell the idea of education being important. One, somebody to teach there. So get the teacher also. And we built the entire school building. The students took 3 years to have the building up, but I have put in 3 years there to have actually digging with our hands. It went down to that. Then as I grew in my career, I have done a lot of work in the dairy segment, which I had to go to a village and pick up data. So again, selling the thought of giving data to us as software engineers, we were clueless how to do it. I learned it. That was Amul and NDDB.
Okay.
The depot management was given to the villagers to manage. We had to teach them how to do it. The third one is very recent, 3 years back. In Aurangabad and Ahmednagar, a farmer had installed solar panels to give data to the government on how much energy he needs to run his pump and how much water will be needed to be sustainable. He had requested one of my friends who is also a software engineer to devise an app and take up this project. He did it. So when I went to Ahmednagar, I had a look at that app and the entire system. Small things, but very far-sighted. That kind of technology from a small farmer is what opens your eyes when you go down to the roots. And yes, I have experienced it all through my school, college career.
The other,
That is very true.
yeah, the other thing, can I?
Yes.
Can I
Venkat,
talk?
I just want to, yeah, Venkat, you can talk. I just want to mention to Sharmila, I think Edward has dropped a message saying that we are very emotional in Australia too. We love trust and relationships big time. I think that's a message to everybody, Edward, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Edward. I think Venkat, you can talk.
Yeah,
and I
one
would
final,
like to
one
talk
final
a little
word.
bit about Sharmila after.
Yeah. One final this thing is we've been doing marketing. We've been everyone is a marketing person in his own way, and everyone runs organizations, consultants, and but my only question is saying that everyone nowadays speaks of CRM. Okay, CRM has just not reached the rural markets in any country for that matter. That is why Hillary Clinton also lost and Donald Trump won. Okay, so at the end of the day, CRM is something which, if you are able to take it to the rural markets, let it be even in Australia, or let it be even in Southeast Asia, Malaysia, US, India, wherever it is, there is a huge load of information which you will get, and which will literally change your entire marketing strategies altogether. Today, what are we doing? Our CRM is restricted to metros and mini metros. Probably your CRM data comes from a Sydney, a Brisbane, and a Melbourne. And probably for India, it comes from a Bombay, Pune, probably a Bangalore, and going probably till a Hosur or till a Satara, Sangli. About that, there is no CRM. You don't have any data in terms of as to what. So finally, what you're dependent upon data, which the government of India calls out and gives it to you, saying that this is the number of people who live, this is what they feel. Whereas for your brand, you really don't know a guy who's staying in the 50,000 population, what he feels about you. So at the end of the day, the CRM has to spread. And once the CRM spreads, I think you guys have a huge load of information to work on. And probably that is the time when probably the social media communication also will change literally to a 360-degree difference actually.
No, very well said, Venkat. I couldn't agree with you more. I think it comes down to probably just taking rural seriously. Like if you're like an urban dweller and you think you're awesome, like a stereotype, big city dweller that looks down on the country, you're not going to get anywhere. But if you kind of love country, people are going to get along. Again, going back to Trump and using I use Trump and the Hillary Clinton as an example of this. Hillary Clinton is just urban only. Like if you're in the country, you're like a monkey, right? You're just dumb, right? Just a dumb little monkey, right? Where Trump knew the people in rural are my supporters, and that's how he won. It comes back to respect. All comes back to respecting your customer. So I love where you're going, Venkat. Really smart.
I have to just add on here, Edward, couldn't agree more, but Venkat's got a very valid point. I've worked with data, well, I forget, since 15 years ago when CRM first got its customer relationship terminology to even now. Venkat, you're 100% right. And I'm sharing this. I've left India in 2000 and I've also worked with Hindustan Levers handling their diammonium phosphate across the rice belt from Calcutta to Vizag. Just giving you the background that I know the market and I'm talking from that perspective. In those days, we used to write it on a clipboard, everything about customer. Later, CRM data, 9.5 companies and brands. Except for US, I can tell you, there is no separate CRM data files or fields for urban rural classification. US is the only market that has. UK just has for London, Dublin, Bristol from my work that I can recall. It doesn't have for like Wales and stuff like that. You have to depend on government data. And if you buy an off-the-shelf CRM, God help you as a company. If you buy an off-the-shelf, the cost of the bloody CRM is going to be at 10,000 bucks, hypothetically, whatever, dollar, rupees, whatever. But every technical change request that you need to adapt to your sales funnel is going to burn a hole that you're not going to recover in 1 year. Best way to do it, customize it, is actually build a system up using it from as basic as Excel, and then add on what you need by the filters and feeds that your sales and marketing collect the data. That's my 2 cents worth on the CRM side. And I can tell you something, without data, people are throwing stones in the dark. You don't know what you're hitting.
Without relevant data, actually.
Without relevant data. If you use the statistical institution data that any country puts out, the data is about approximately a year old from the time of collation and putting it out and releasing it for use. You're 1 year behind. That's demographically. What about, psychographically? How do you get, Australia has just gone through 2 back-to-back devastations between bushfires and coronavirus. Can you imagine the mindset of people, city and rural? At this stage, if a brand is going in with something, I jolly well should know where my customer's head is at, because I shouldn't be telling him or her, the brand's going to do X. I'm going to go in there and say, Ed, can I help you with Y? And that I need to know that Y. So if you don't have that right data, you're dead. You can't write your story.
Well said.
Yeah.
Very well said, Joy.
Very well said.
Thank you.
So I think there are multiple questions coming in on YouTube channel. So, Joy, Edward, Venkat, if you can, whenever you get a chance, please log into YouTube channel, Bringle Talks, and you can answer Preeti's questions there. The live chat will not be available, but then we'll be sending you the live link where you can with this, I would like to request, I think, Mani to share about the pearls of wisdom, what he has captured from this session.
Thank you, Ansha. Thanks, everyone. And thanks to Joy, Venkat, and Edward. It was an amazing session.
Thank you.
I keep collecting some pearls of wisdom, which we could try to summarize and try to share as part of these sessions every day. And today it was more like a downpour of wisdom. So I was going through, I was listening, I was not sure when to stop, when to make a note, but it was like overwhelming, and it was very good session. We got a lot of inputs here. And to start with, Joy, you started the discussion straight on dot, saying marketing starts inside out. I really like that the approach, and your aggression is really good. And this actually helps a lot of entrepreneurs to find the right strategies for their marketing. And then you go on saying one more important point, saying simplicity is ultimate sophistication. So that is also a key that entrepreneurs can take a note, where they have to be very careful. Yeah.
Sorry, Mani, to interrupt, but please attribute that to the original person. It's a quote from Leonardo da Vinci. I use it to amplify my process, please.
Yes. I saw that message. Yeah. And then your tip was amazing. Like, ask the clients how open they are. And this is what most of the times entrepreneurs or business owners don't do. They just go and sell and tell what they have in their mind and come out. And that's where the disconnect happens. And that's where the perspective of making you think or what will work for the business, or looking at the big picture or showing the value of 360 doesn't happen. So definitely it was a great tip. Ask clients how open they are and keep that openness for learning. Thank you for that. Thanks, Joy. Moving on, Venkat, you actually connected us to the heart of the rural market, and you took us through the entire scenario of various use cases. There could be multiple use cases, and the best I liked was like the way you explained social media, which only communicates but it doesn't give the products unless until it is the touch or felt or used by the customer, will not make their mind to actually buy it. So this was really helpful. And also you shared one more important tip. It's like the right campaign. Let's say any entrepreneur is looking for a right rural campaign. It should be more of not treating the rural guys as commercial, but more emotional guy, and imbibe the culture and build the affiliation with the market to get the complete strategy a success. Thank you. Thanks for that, Venkat. It was really awesome to hear this suggestions. And finally, Edward, you have made it very crisp and very short, but it was very effective. The way you explained two ways of presenting the approach, which is the continual strong presence, as well as the complete personal presence. Whereas the continual strong presence is to social media connect, and continual complete personal presence is to one-to-one connect. And I really like the tip you said, really speaking simple language is the key for direct communication. And thank you for all of that. And you also went on saying about persuasion and influencing. And I also taken a note of the persuasion, respect everyone, and personal connection, set customers as equals, then we can have a direct persuasion. This was really awesome. Thanks for all the inputs, and thank you for that. Thanks. Back to you, Ansha.
Yeah, so I think I just want to add here, Edward has just messaged it on the chat. Edward, would you want to just unmute yourself and talk about it?
Yes, I was just going to say is, and again, I'll say it again, and I know this topic very well. If you want to study one of the best rural versus urban marketers of all time, I encourage everyone, study Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump in the 2016 election. It was purely urban versus rural. It was all urban versus rural, and the rural strategy worked.
I think you're right. I think we have seen that in Delhi as well, how, the Delhi government has been there for the last 15 years now. I mean, actually, he's serving the third year. The chief minister is serving the third session now, or a 5-year session. So I think I understand the rural market is going to be very important because that actually comprises of the majority of the population in any country. So I think with this, I would only want to thank all the speakers out here. I would like to thank all the sponsors and collaborators and promoters of Bringle Blended Meetups. I would specifically like to mention Radio Masti 24/7 Singapore, which is the only Hindi live radio channel in Southeast Asia. And they have been sharing all these pearls of wisdom in their radio channel every day. So please tune into their application on both iOS and Android, Radio Masti 24/7, and you can watch the pearls of wisdom from all the speakers there as well. Keep watching, stay home, stay safe.
Ansha, Venkat has
Yes,
one
Mani.
last point. Yeah, Venkat, please.
Yes, Venkat.
Unmute part. Yeah.
No, I'm saying after this entire session, I think I've created a lot of competitors for myself in the rural markets.
Oh, wow.
Venkat, except, exceptional people don't have competition. And it is a very normal, it is a general saying that more you teach others, more you learn yourself.
Exactly.
So
More
I
the
think,
merrier, actually. Yeah.
Correct.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
frankly speaking, I, as a person, I always been following the word of collaboration. I always say this: collaboration helps you grow.
Yes.
Competition kills. There is
Yes.
nothing called competition in this world. If you try to compete with people, you will lose your own identity. So be within yourself, find your unique strengths, and if you have that unique strength, whom you will still grow better in that.
Agreed. Thank you.
The only point I'll add, if I get in the last word before we sign off,
Okay.
is this.
So, share. Okay.
We are talking
Thanks, Venkat.
customer
I will
experience.
request.
We were talking customer experience,
Right.
not rural and urban.
Absolutely.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
we
but
just
then,
have to remember the experience
right.
is different in urban, the experience is different in suburban, and the experience is different in rural. That's all. These are classifications
Absolutely.
we put.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're perfectly right, Joy. And I
Thanks,
think,
Anshu.
yeah, I'm only trying to bring this point here because yesterday, Mr. Mahesh Ranade was there, who is basically running 650 plus centers and actually training more than 1 lakh school dropouts in the country. For the last, I think they've been active since 1937 in India. They're a NGO. And the way he was talking about that when you go to the rural market, when you go to the student who is actually in slums, you can't go with a suit and boot. You will have to go with the clothes which they will be able to relate to. Otherwise, they will see, okay, one more person has come in and will talk about big words, but probably will not be of their help. So that is where I think the regionality, the section, the sections of rural, urban, international, even the local aspect. And I think that is why I was wanting to talk about Sharmila. Sharmila comes from a disability background. She is having a cerebral palsy since she was 5 years old. How she has been surviving for the last 50 years, working with government, having a complete, support on that segment. The way she can understand and empathize with those people, probably you and me cannot. I mean, we can try to do that, but the feeling which she has, she only can relate and empathize with them the most. That's only the point which I was trying to make with that categorization of rural, urban, or international.
We won't finish the session today because it'll go into an area of leadership where one of the requirements of leadership is to realize what skills you don't have and bring those skills on board. Because as a leader, if I want to do everything, I can't do Venkat's job. He's a damn good rural marketeer. But what I can do for Venkat is show him how to make more money.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely.
So to take your own words, don't compete, collaborate.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
So
Thank you so
that's
much.
the whole point, Joy. And I think thanks everybody for your time. I would like to, would request all the speakers and participants here to take, just request, ask everybody to take this 21 days business sustainability challenge. Let them watch the daily YouTube channel, Bringle Talks for these sessions, and businesses can upload their business presentations at www.bringleacademy.com/course/business sustainability. And we are looking for those 10 businesses which has a potential to become a unicorn, and their leaders are ready to take that journey. So that's where we are. I will just sign off from this. And with this, I will say, keep bringing, keep growing. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Good night.
Thank you.
very
Thanks,
much.
everyone.
Thank you,
Guys.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.